Welcome, everybody. Simulation Talk 170. I wonder what it's going to feel like to get to Simulation Talk 1000. It might be such a monumental moment. So glad to see a lot of people already here. Owl said hoot hoot, so we're good, in good shape. Goopier and Briar. I'm telling you, TikTok has the best handles that I do not understand. Danny Perry. Oh, nice. Where are you going at 9 p.m.? Is it a story of a girl? Owl. What's up, Ebony? So good to see you. Sky Tibidoo. Yeah, we're in the same time zone. CSD's holding it down. Nice, Sky. What's up, Diego? User 698-40221831. It does feel great to have the meeting kind of early, doesn't it? I'll do my best to keep this trend. It's not always possible, unfortunately. But I think I'm getting better at this time management thing. Oh, Owl just gifted 5 people memberships. Owl, you're a G. Thank you so much, brother. And congratulations to all the people who got the gift. People who don't know, quite often, some of my regular listeners and also people who are kind of becoming my right hand people in all kinds of domains, like in Discord with Ebony, with Owl, with another venture we're working on, Ben, another venture we're working on. They also in the habit of sometimes gifting people 5 memberships or a membership, and that is deeply appreciated, received with gratitude because it helps the channel grow. But also, what a great! It's always such a nice surprise when that happens. So thank you so much, Owl, and thank you so much, Ebony, for every time you do that. Thank you so much, Ben, and Chris, for doing this stuff. It's really, really, it really is appreciated. It helps the channel tremendously. How are everybody doing? Simulation Talk 170. Some great things on the horizon. And when we meet every single day, it might look like progress with everything that we're doing with the project seems to be slow, but it really isn't. I think we actually made quite a bit of headway with everything that's going on, and very soon I'll be able to announce more things. It's just that yeah, when you see each other every day, the rate of change does not appear to be that substantial. Joe Bob Riggs, Steph, No Name, Legaxi. I think you've been with us before, right? Cindy, prove we live in a simulation. Boo! See? Simulation. That's the proof. What's up, Kevin? Perfect timing indeed. That I know. This guy brave to come on when I'm awake. I guess I am. I am very brave. Hey, bro, what do you think of the politic? I think you were saying politics, right? In America right now, can we make it through? Uh, the fact that you're asking this question, I think it's perfect. I think it's exactly what needs to happen right now. I see incredible things in the future. I usually don't care so much about politics, but this is what needed to happen right now. And exemplified by the fact that it did. Isn't that convenient? What's up, Andreas? Indeed, all is awesome, and you're awesome, Ebony. You're amazing. As far as where I'm going at 9 p.m., I manifested a gambling win earlier, so I'm taking that experimentation to the actual casino to see if I can amplify that. I wonder if anybody else had that thought before and how it turned up for them. Maybe you're the first one to actually to win and then to think, wait, can I double this? Can I actually make it a big win? I don't know if you might be the first person to have this thought. Give it a shot, man. I think Vegas would appreciate it. Good luck tonight, brother. Don't care about gambling, but if I can use any manifestation to win a bunch of money for the project, let's do it. Absolutely. Also for yourself, brother. It would be incredible to know that you made some gains. Top power off. Have you ran the experiment yet? How you doing, Ambient Glass? Good to see you. Good evening. 421 Central Iowa. That is a great handle. Kevin. Kevin the Stabber. What a name, man. Honestly, in terms of previous breakthrough discoveries, this one is moving at a rapid pace. There you go. Kirsten, how are you? Good to see you. And what's up, Dimitri? Good to see you, brother. Ben is in the house. Politics are not real. Nothing is. I mean, earlier I set an intention to hit a specific grand jackpot on a specific online slot, and I hit it within 10 minutes. Coincidence? I think not. I agree. Yeah, you're right. My YouTube channel is mostly CB radio related, and 421 are the numbers I use on air. Well, now everything makes sense. Also, Iowa is beautiful, so I know somebody who from high school that he was visiting Vegas for his what was it? I think it was his wedding. It was either the honeymoon or right before he got married, something along like around the wedding. And he like in the movies, he walked in. This is a true story. He walked in, he saw one of these like really big, you know, slot machines, the one that are like spinning in the middle of the thing, and he just literally put like I don't know $5 or whatever, click like in the movies, won the jackpot, $10,000 first try. He's like, okay, great wedding gift. And go thoughts. I got Chris to do the human design. He got manifesting generator too. Woohoo! I guess that's the tendency here. If you guys haven't listened to that episode I told you to listen to, you should. It will open your eyes to so much more wisdom. I really love that podcast. It's really great. Like that particular episode. Almost went for it tonight and got cold feet. It told you not. Told you not, and you listened. That's amazing. There's no 42 digits in roulette. That's true. How many are there? I don't remember. I believe it. I've seen it in person. Actually, a woman put like 30 cents in a machine and won over $1 million. Whoa, that is wild. Wow, man, that is wild. She probably lost it that night too, but still wild. Oh man, that moment must be so painful when you lose it all back. What's up, Nico? Any thoughts on the Nazca mummies? I don't know nothing about it. Let's see. Nazca mummies. Nazca mummies. Nazca mummies are pre-Hispanic human remains found in Nazca region of Peru. The Nazca culture practice. No, I need to know. I need to read more about that. I don't know much about it. Huh. I have a good friend who actually contacted me originally about this project, and we became friends. His name is Matt, incredible guy, and he lives in Peru. And he recently found some skulls that literally, newspapers started reaching out to him. Heavy metal bands ask him for permission to use pictures of these skulls. It's kind of wild. But no, nothing about Nazca mummies. I just remembered you said. I just saw that it says something about Peru. What are you eating? Okay, you never know it with him anymore. He might be eating your shoe or your boot. I'm listening from work since you get earlier every day. Where do you work, Sofa King? My human design was Planic Projector. I've never heard of this. This is amazing. And I'm still digging into it. Amazing. Good morning, Arwin from X36. Dimitri said on the roulette. Thank you, sir. How are you, Sofa King? Yeah, you can look it up. It happens not too long ago. It happened not long ago. And I got it. Gotta have discipline. Yeah, I mean, you have to. What's the name of that guy that is like went really viral, is really famous? The beating the casinos, all tattered up. What's his name? He's hilarious. Alien mummies, fascinating. Loads of videos on the Nesca mummies on the Psychoactivo podcast for anyone interested in the topic. You heard it here first, folks. Well, probably not first, but manifesting indeed. Italian restaurant. Oh, you work in an Italian restaurant. Okay. Now you got me. I made spaghetti yesterday. So I have a lot of related topics. You know, these people in a conversation that you're trying to say something and then they say something vaguely, remotely related, but like not really. Like you telling them, it's like, oh, I had spaghetti last night. Okay. What am I supposed to do with that? How are you, Frostadamus? Mickey Mace, that's the guy. He's hilarious. He's really funny. The way he licks his lips all the time. Happy to hear you're a fan of Dr. Michael Levine's work. I wonder in the future, if there will be any connection made between the code and his research. I bet you there will be. Absolutely. I think that's kind of like the software layer that he's talking about. Lindsay, thank you for all the love. Thank you for being here. Nico, how are you, brother? Does your BS meter go off with Mickey Mace? Actually, no. I mean, he has a lot of different things I can tell you about that what I feel about him in terms of what he does, and he obviously has a lot of stored what shall we call them, paranoid tendencies, but they're kind of merited. Like as far as I know, he's legit. Like in terms of like what he did, it will be very hard to get away with everything he's saying vocally about the casinos without getting popped. So I think I don't know. He is intense, but I think his claims are real. It's kind of like who he reminds me of? Very different, but very similar. Eddie Bravo when he was younger, right? If you wouldn't know Eddie Bravo and he wouldn't be from the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world, you would think it's just like all yap, like all a lot of noise. He would make these videos of people just like they're like fake videos of people like he fights with people and whatever. And you would think if you wouldn't be in the community or understand what he's doing, you would think it's all just they were just all just marketing. But he's legit, right? Eddie is as legit as they come. I kind of see the same thing there. Very rambunctious. He's a lot. So is Eddie. And he's just what he is. It's also the nature of that game, the nature of that world. That's the reason that kind of guy is there. Eddie comes off as humble and authentic to you. Now, you're talking about Eddie 20 years ago, 30 years ago? Come on, man. You know that's not true. You know that's not true. Young Eddie? Nah, man. Pre-Royler Eddie. No. After. What are you talking about? After he became famous. The second he became famous, he became very rambunctious. Wait, what? Shills for what? What is digging misinformation? Oh, no. Warms for president. Eddie is as real as they come. I know Eddie personally. Eddie is as real. Eddie is so misunderstood. Eddie is one of the most incredible people on this planet. How's that? Like truly, like the stuff that Eddie really is. I was blown away by this. So I was introduced to him by Brendan McCagran, who's a good friend of mine, who's also he's one of Eddie's black belts, and he's kind of known in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world as they're kind of like the Joe Rogan of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world. And he introduced me to Eddie because he is his best friend, basically. And I got to know Eddie through his eyes. And dude, Eddie is an incredible human being, like unbelievable. An example for you: Eddie does not charge any one of his black belts for any fees whatsoever for opening a 10th planet. Did you know that? Like, he does not receive any compensation for any 10th planet all over the world, and he doesn't even charge them for any merch selling of any kind. Like, he just go and have fun. Like, use my name, use my dojo. You got the black belt from me. I know I give you my blessing. That's all. Whatever you make is yours. Nobody ever does that. Nobody ever does that. Eddie, he is like as legit as they come. So I assure you, at least with Eddie, there's that these misinformation claims are absolutely off the rockers. And space is fake, by the way. So he's right about that, He is funny. I've met him a few times in a casino. Really? You met him in a casino? Dude, he's a lot. He's hilarious. Scott, happy to hear you are. Oh, we read that. How to count Baccarat really well. It's not a secret. Got it. Well, no, he has a bunch of videos about all kinds of things that casinos do. I watched a bunch of them. Pavel is fantastic. What Pavel, Frostodamus? You're talking about the Science Channel? If you were not afraid of my commentary, I can tell you about the Nazca mummies. I don't know where you got the idea I'm afraid of your commentary. I just can't address every single point you make when it's going in like a billion directions. We'll be here all night. Also, to be quite honest, all of these things, they are a bunch of theories, right? Like I say to people in the emails, I'm not, at the moment, me personally, I'm not interested in theories. I'm interested in something we can do something with. Theories, not so much. There's as many theories as there are people. It can go off forever. It doesn't really do anything for me at the moment. But if you want to keep entertaining theories, by all means, they're fun. He's a friend of mine, great guy, great pocket. Wait. Which I want to know about him now. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. So now Ebony basically promoted a channel where they were talking about the mummies. Then Frostodamus said he's awesome. And then Ebony said it's a friend of hers. Now I understand. I'm catching up. I'm catching on. Catching up, catching up, catching on. Thank you, Ebony. Had my first Aya journey in November. Now all I can think about is what is the purpose of the simulation, and see people sleeping in the simulation while I feel half awake. Any thoughts? Great question, Matt. I would say focus on becoming fully awake and don't worry so much about other people. If you become fully awake, just your presence alone will help wake other people up. As you probably know, trying to convince people is not going to do it. So why bother? Gallimore review of your theory is good. It's I wouldn't call it that. I mean, he told me that he's going to be reviewing it before he sent it. We're in a good conversation now. He's going to help me with some of the experimentation. I think it's fair from where he's sitting from a scientific perspective, but I do think that he's folding a lot into a very super unnecessarily linear thought that doesn't necessarily apply. He also makes some mistakes that are just mistakes. For example, you absolutely have photons that are going into surfaces, so that's just simply not true that you can't have light bouncing off of the inside of a surface. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually writing a piece as a response to it, all in very, very friendly tone. We are in a really good conversation. So good, depending on how you define as good. I don't think it addresses what I'm actually proposing. Let's just put it that way. Eddie's a great guy. Absolutely. Somebody, Warren president saying, space is not fake. The moon might not be what you think, but space is real. That's not true. Space is fake. We live on a sausage, and the universe that isn't real is a donut. I don't know if you know any of this, but this is actually all real information that will be verified by NASA very soon. This is the disclosure. Mark my words. Space is not real. We live on a sausage, and the universe that doesn't exist is a donut. We don't know if it has anything sprinkled on it yet. That's data that is about to come in. But actually, what's his face? The guy we were just talking about, the casino guy. He actually has some of the information, so he will be talking about it as well. Those are all facts, and you heard it here first, folks. Just so you know. I liked it, but it wasn't amazing. I gave a balance to the theory. I felt sure it just doesn't address the theory for what it actually purports. What I'm saying is a lot more specific, and it is on me to produce that body of work in terms of theoretical framework that actually talks about some of the specifics of what I'm proposing, and then we'll be able to put it to the test, as we are already kind of doing. I like the writing culture of Substack. Feels like authentic writing on there. Absolutely. The integration of memes into writing is great. It isn't toroidal. No sausage. No. NASA is actually more fake. Maybe. No. The Earth is sausage for sure. Like 100%. What are you talking about? Like this has already been known for about like 3 months now. They just like not really released it officially, but if like there's people in the know, I'm one of them. We definitely live on the sausage. Again, not sure about the bun. We don't know that yet, but we definitely know we're in a sausage, and we usually occupy one of the poles of the sausage, which has this little fanny that comes out. You know, the little thing that they tie. So this has been known now for months. It's a toroidal sausage. You're right about that. You might feel sausage, and that would make sense because of your sense of time. Sausage elongates time. So time dilation has to do with the shape of the sausage because our sausage is like a saddle, right? Time dilation is what it is. If we would be living on an upside down sausage, time will be very different. It would also look like a sad face, you know, and that creates a very different kind of world. But again, you'll see NASA will be talking about it. It's a done deal. It's a fact. Have you ever used ChatGPT voice to debate? I started doing it, and it's a great way to hear counters. And I don't need ChatGPT. Believe me, the inside of my head is both sides of the argument nonstop. It's like that. What are the two sides would say, like constantly nonstop. I get the idea, but it's a droplet of matter, like a drop. The Earth, no NASA. LOL. Okay, July 1st. All right. Sausage Day, July 1st. Let's go. Let's go, baby. Um, a bean. Ebony message on blast. I mean, we can change it. I actually didn't put it there. I think she did, which is fine. That's why I'm not touching it. Codeofreality.com. Put it right there. Remember, everybody, Sausage Day, July 1st. Count. He's up to no good. He's looking for shit to fuck up. He's like, what can I do? What can I do over here? What's up, Bubon? You hungry? You ate 2 meals today. He's crazy. He today he made such a mess. What do you want? What do you want? You're crazy today. You know that? You're extra crazy today. He's like, what can I eat or fuck up? That's his two thoughts. Cosmo is an agent of chaos. Absolutely is. That's a good name for him. You want to see something crazy? Check this out. This is Kelsey's one of Kelsey's Uggs. We just come back home to this. He's like, look. He's like, my toy? That's my toy. Why are you taking my toy? Uh, it will post a laser reaction video if it's known as a sausage by then. The sausage reaction video. You will get a very different kind of crowd if you title something sausage reaction video. And just so you know. I'm serious. Yeah, Uggs have serious insulation. He went through this like it was nothing. And now he's banging it all over the place. You probably have seen pictures of my cat. She loves Patrick's voice. Watch him all the time. Amazing. I've been dying to ask you this for a long time. All right, Bob, let's see. Where exactly do you get your ideas from? From my brain. What do you mean? Where do you get your ideas from? I mean, depending on the idea, right? If you ask me a specific idea, I can probably tell you. What's up, Greg? Good to see you, brother. Night Shift's great too, and I love the channel, but always seem to miss when the stream. Yeah, actually, Night Shift. You guys know I'm kind of like UAPs, whatever, kind of like for me. But when I went on that show, on the Night Shift show, it was really like wonderful people, really, really good vibe. I really enjoyed it. Absolutely incredible. Courtney Brown. How long ago did you make the discovery? I think 4 years ago at this point. Somebody, we have haters of jiu-jitsu here, Nico. He's like, ambient glass like jiu-jitsu is not as good without the rules, bro. Have you ever done it? How do you know? How you doing, brother? Nico, how are you, man?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Hold on, let me turn you up. There we go, so people can hear you.
I wanted to pick your brain about something. I had this debate with my friends today. So do you think, I mean, you know the whole type 0, type 1 civilization framework?
Yeah.
I don't know if Michio Kaku has been regurgitating it recently.
Yeah.
But I think it was actually from the 80s, right? From a Russian guy?
Yeah. Kardashev scale. It's not a Michio Kaku scale, yeah.
Yeah, so you know this whole framework very well, it sounds like. So we are in I think type 0 is like, okay, your society has conquered energy, right? Like
it's kind of we're 0.5, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're at 0.5 and we're trying to, and AI is obviously a big, step for us, and quantum computing is a big step for us. And I think we're making big strides. But my main thing was that NASA published this thing of saying that there's a 1.3% chance we get hit by an asteroid in 8 years.
Okay.
Right? And my friends are like, dude, 1.3, let it go. It's like, we can take those chances all day. But then I was thinking about it from the perspective of a type 0.6, 0.5 civilization. We should be intercepting those, right? We should be, like, our threshold should be very low for asteroids hitting Earth, right?
I think that the truth about it is that we simply don't have enough information because these are pretty arbitrary choices. It might be that this division of control, right, is an arbitrary choice that Kardashev made. But the truth is that if for example, what I'm claiming to have discovered will be substantiated, then he was just looking in the wrong direction. It had nothing to do with control of how many levels of control you might exert. It has to do with level of awareness and understanding. So then maybe level 2 or level 1 would just be awareness of the spiritual dimension while you're still in 3D, let's say. Here's a new scale, right? And then the reason that that's the primary thing is because through that you can bring about certain things into the world that you couldn't before because you were not aware of them. And then maybe type 2 is when you manage to like jump in between, so you're not just aware, you can actually go to the next level and come back, go to the next level and come back. Type 3, and then you go according to awareness. So here's a new scale that has nothing to do with control of energy, because his scale was based on a physicalist perspective. That's, I think.
Gotcha.
And I think that what would, if you're really asking me, I think it would follow the same trajectory that all major jumps in technological innovation and understanding always followed, which is it was not at all what everybody thought. So it's every single time you have like a good example is like a compact disc and CD-ROM, right? Like every time you would have like a disc, and everybody kept on asking then, okay, how small would they make them? Like in 50 years from now, they're going to be this small, And then eventually we just like, oh, we don't need them. We just use hard drives. Like it doesn't matter anymore. Like nobody uses CDs. It jumped to something completely different, right? And I think that every single thing is always like this. Everybody kept on thinking about like, where's the, again, everything that had a physical object attached to it, like a movie that you could go to Blockbuster and rent from, doesn't matter if it's CDs or cassettes or whatever it was. When streaming came along, which nobody could see coming. Why? Because nobody considered that computation will be such an overarching thing that we'll all be using. So then nobody could ever foresee streaming. But now that we have that, we're like, oh, that, of course, that's the thing that makes sense. But 20, 30 years ago, nobody would ever conjure that as even a possibility, right? So back then, they would talk to you about Kardashev's scale of, how small we're going to make things, or like nobody thought about completely pivotal moments in technology. And I think it's going to be like this. It's more of a fun thought experiment kind of thing. It's not a real, I wouldn't take this seriously. The reason that you don't see, where are they, right? Fermi paradox. Like the reason you don't see them is because they're right here. They're just in a place where you don't know how to look. So it's not really necessarily has anything to do with your ability to control Dyson spheres or anything like this. I think it has more to do, and I always say that if you do want to use the Kardashev scale in terms of the control that is postulated, like type 1, I think you mastered all the weather on your own planet, right? So you can control the weather and all that stuff. Type 2, you can control the sun. Type 3, you can control the galaxy. Type 4, I think you go galactic, and then you can keep going. Type 5 can go like across the universe in an instance. Type 6, multidimensional. Type 7, you can keep playing this game forever. But the truth is that I think in terms of jumping to the next level, whatever it will be, even if we're talking about like regular Kardashev scale, like controlling the weather and all that stuff, or let's say type 2, because it's a good example, like building a Dyson sphere, you will need everybody to have a different attitude about the world. That's the main impediment. It's not the knowing how to do that. It's that in order to create a collaboration on a level where you build a Dyson sphere, because if you ask yourself what would be required to build a Dyson sphere, to anybody who doesn't know, Dyson sphere is basically a structure around the star that utilizes the energy directly from the star. Like you take the energy directly from the star. So you don't need to really go and gather it in other places. So infinite energy kind of. So either it's a Dyson sphere or a Dyson swarm, doesn't matter. In order to do that, it will take like a few hundred years, maybe 1,000 years to fully complete, right? So in that case, you need to plan for 1,000 years. So you need to trust that whatever you brought about now will hold in terms of innovation and thought for 1,000 years, and you would need to trust other humans to not screw each other over constantly around these things, because you can't be worried about that stuff. So you need to function as a unit. You need to become as like a very cohesive, right? So that requires cultural evolutions, not necessarily technical ones. I think
But
technically we're already
right
there.
now, right now it's been interesting because right now we're fighting over borders and lines and who belongs on which side of the border, etc. But I almost feel like when there's an asteroid headed towards Earth, at some point, is there this moment where we all look at each other and say, hold on, we're all in this together, right? How do we?
I have a very simple answer for you, because we have an example of this and it's not good at the moment. About the fact that right now, when the LA fires happened, a friend of mine, Jeremy, said that one of his friends basically made sure that his family got out. He was in the Palisades. He made sure that his family got out, his wife and his kids, and then he sat there in the flames with a shotgun. You know why?
Looting?
Yep. That's your answer. Here's an emergency. We're all together. Well, some people decide to use that time to actually steal from other people. So
my landlord from my lab called me and said, "Hey, I'm going to hire a security guard for this." And I was like, "Oh, this is..." So I had to pay extra for that earlier last month. But yeah, looting is unfortunately a reality.
But it shows you where people's minds at, even during emergencies, right? So that's not good. But we're gonna have to overcome that, even as an impulse. Like that should not exist in humans,
and
right?
that feels like a byproduct of wealth inequality, right? Like a very large. There's a lot of people that are angry at at the system or the people that are more wealthy.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's the truth. I think it's a failure of humans as a whole. I think that this idea that they're angry if you would have less inequality, you're going to have less of that. I think that's not true. People do this. It's almost like it's a very natural thing to do that we have to overcome. It's a natural tendency. I'm going to gain more. It's a zero-sum game tendency that comes from very, very ancient genes that existed on Earth for a very long time. And there was always only a limited pie, and you have to take as much as possible when you can. That's the kind of like the I don't have enough mentality, right? And I don't think that it has something to do with, and I can throw it the other way. There's this very deep lack of empathy for people just because they're wealthy. It's like, people, oh, good, let their life burn. Are you kidding me? Like it's like they a lot of people that just kind of they became successful at something. They put an effort, right? If you can't appreciate that, no matter where you're from and where you're sitting, you will never resolve the problem. If you're gonna, and again, the finger pointing thing, you're gonna be like, oh, it's because of rich people did this, and it's like, no, you can be happy no matter what you have, and if you can do that, then humanity can change. Otherwise, you're gonna keep pointing fingers, and you're just gonna keep passing the ball. It starts with you, it ends with you, whomever you are. It starts with me, it ends with me. If I'm unhappy, it's my doing. If I don't have enough, it's my doing. There's nothing, nobody took anything away from me. If I don't have enough, there's something that I'm not doing to have enough. It has nothing to do, especially in America. It's pardon my French, it's bullshit. Like you can have whatever you want.
Yeah, it's just here the social mobility is insane, right? An immigrant can become a billionaire in this country very easily. I mean, there's countless stories of that, which is what makes this country so amazing. But and I don't want to get too crazy into going down that rabbit hole, but I was wondering if there was like a catalyst that can unify, like if it's an alien invasion. Did Carl Sagan make that? Someone said something about like if aliens invaded.
Yeah, it's which is kind of weird when smart people say shit like this. It was Stephen Hawking. He said that he said, well, I'm sure a lot of people said it, but Stephen Hawking famously said that if we might not want to find the aliens because just look at what happened to Native Americans, right? Which is, it just shows you that sometimes somebody can be just unfathomably smart in one domain and like close to a 40 IQ in another domain, because it has.
I find that to be very common, actually.
Oh, you mean like in general?
When you're hyper leveraged in one area, you're like the exact opposite in others.
Yeah,
But
because it's what happened to Native Americans, and really, again, it's one of these, like, like you use any example from the human history, which is like any more advanced civilization that or more powerful entity met one another, it didn't end well for the lower form, right? And that's true of life, by the way. It's just across the board. It's all the species. It's everything. It's not even humans. It's just in general, and that has to do with fighting for resources in a limited resources environment. But if you're talking about a civilization that can traverse stars or galaxies, that's not a thing. They can go anywhere in an infinite universe. Why would they go to a specific place and just take something away for the sake of taking something away from someone? It's like, you can go to any star. You can probably have it. You probably at that point have an advanced enough of a technology to transmute any element into any element. There's gold. You can make all the gold in the world. What do you think? This is why all of these, like, this is a good example of like one of these things that Billy Carson used to say, that if you know a thing or two about these things, you're like, dude, what? Oh my god! Like, they wanted gold. Like, they can make all the gold they want. It's just a matter of knowing how to do that, right? Stars do it all the time. So when you have advanced enough of a civilization, the only thing that is possible in terms of what happened to Native Americans is if the civilization is like at its core evil. Like destruction for the sake of destruction and nothing else. Just suffering for the sake of suffering. Okay, I'm not ruling it out, but that's the only possibility. It's not a technical one or a zero-sum game one. It's not it can't be. Like, you would have everything evolves. So if your technological ability evolves, to some degree, you also your understanding of what is possible for more and more creatures also evolves. Now, humans are a perfect example where it's kind of like our ethics and good taste are not really keeping up enough with our technological abilities, which is a problem. But it's not true to say that it doesn't at all evolve. It is. Like, the fact that we're talking about it right now, the fact that a lot of people are aware that we need to change things and all that stuff, that tells you that there's an evolution of some sort. Like, we understand, right? So now just an implementation. So imagine if you're running the clock another 1,000 years. I'm not even talking about millions of years, just another 1,000 years. Okay, well, even just us, forget about other civilizations. If we won't have this time here, but it's okay. If we will be just evolving just in the pace that we are now, not anything accelerating, even though of course it will. 1,000 years from now, you know what? Forget it. 1,000 years is just way too big of an example. In 100 years from now, you will not recognize the Earth, the surrounding area, and you will not recognize it. So that's just 100 years from now for us. Imagine what it would be like for a species that was born with a natural higher IQ, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's inconceivable. Think at that point, you're like, hey, if we want to go to that star, it's like super cheap for us. We can go, we can do whatever. Oh, there's a species in the way. Should we destroy them? What? Like, what is the point of that? It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. Unless they derive some kind of a special pleasure out of it. And again, I'm not ruling it out. I'm just saying that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because basing these assumptions about other aliens on the fact that we always behaved, I guess you can call it badly, we would just behave naturally. Like, you arrive at a place. If this idea that Native Americans were just like completely like peaceful and they're just like, oh yeah, just come in and do whatever, and that's not true. Like, there's conflict. There's like, you get in there and there's like who are you, from both ends. It's just that one side had more power, right? And Indians, Native Americans killed each other all the time, constantly, nonstop. Like, I don't know who got this idea that they were just like these peaceful tribes. Some of them were for a certain period of time, but a lot of them absolutely weren't. They were rolling people's heads off staircases, like, ripping people's hearts out of their living body. What are you talking about? So it's just like, humans are part of a natural evolution on Earth. And in terms of what we understand now, it's barbaric, but it's how it was because they came from a place of lack, and that's what the genome was coding for. And at a certain point, you have enough, just like we have now. and we start transforming, we start moving the picture. But there's a lot of momentum to this older vibe, so it's trying to like, facilitate itself into all the new constructs. This is why when what happened, again, I don't want to get too much into politics, but this is just a perfect example of that. When you had Putin get in, like, with this, like, basically what seems to be completely unfathomable war at this point, right? When he came in, it was like, whoa, it's like these old ways kind of like rendering their heads, and like, no, we're still here. And then it's up to us to now, what do we do with that? Like, do we dissipate this entirely forever, or do we keep playing this nonsensical game? I personally am optimistic. I think we will, but it's going to keep trying to, show its head. Eventually, the cultural revolution and the cultural revolution probably not going to work. Cultural evolution is the only way to get out of that and to get into type 1, type 2. They can collaborate and work together on goals that are of thousands of years long, and creating beautiful structures, and finding new dimensions, all that stuff. So yeah, I think that the Kardashev scale is a super simplistic way of looking at it, and it's not a real measure of anything. I think at this point, Michio Kaku is just on a he's getting older, he needs money, so he just says whatever because he brings him attention. I get it. And he has, he earned his accolades. He was a phenomenal theoretical physicist. But I think it's more that it's like pop culture kind of thing. It's not a real like assessment of something. And I am very optimistic, but there are no guarantees. Optimism does not mean you do not understand that there's a chance, there's no guarantees. We might not make it, who knows, but let's enjoy it while we can. That's what I always say.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you, Danny. I got to get going, but yeah, I really appreciate the insight. And,
I really appreciate you always prompting me with wonderful questions, and then that sends me on a tangent.
Yeah, sorry. There's a couple of charged questions in there, so sorry if I.
Oh, not at all. I love it. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm being all in your face about it. Not at all. I really enjoy it.
No, for sure. All right, talk to you soon.
All right, brother.
All right, bye.
Okay, let's see what I probably missed a bunch of comments, most likely. Thank you for the likes, guys. Also, if you happen to be on TikTok or X or Twitch and you want to check out my YouTube channel, it's Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts. That's where most of my content lives. So I highly recommend you check it out. It also includes a membership program that includes Zoom calls with me, early access to my content, and weekly lives for members only, aside from the daily lives. So highly recommend you check that out. Lucy said, I think it's an easy perspective of white middle-class men to have. If you don't understand how racist your comment is, and I can't help you. Literally, you use the color of my skin without knowing anything about me as a way of putting me in a category that you think you understand in order to make some point. If that's not racist, I don't know what is. Also, I definitely didn't come from middle class. I basically came from nothing. And I know very well what it means to struggle in this world. It's also why I know that all of this narrative is bullshit. Cosmo, relax. Relax, Bubon. Shh, come here. Yeah, the Apache. Hey, Cosmo, relax, bub. What's up? Just a dog. Relax. Trying to go through the comments as fast as possibly. Massive shift happening, and it's solely dependent on people's response to their reality, whether it be response through love or response through fear. I agree with that. For meaning to be kept, one needs one who means. Nice. The one who would set balance should not be balancing while being an addict to value. Valuing collaboration as a meaningful direction would be hard. As profound as always. Thank you, Daniel. And Apache, yeah, they were extra crazy. That's true. Oh, and if you guys are on YouTube, because I see on TikTok, thank you so much for the likes. And if you want to click a like for the live, that'll be highly appreciated because it definitely helps the algorithm. So thank you, everybody. Also, if you're on X or on Twitch, and on Twitch, by the way, if you want to help the channel on Twitch, it will be LaserX83. X is Goal or Danny, and then LaserX83 is my Twitch channel. If you want to join from there, it would be amazing. Enigma Gun, M Theory has some merit, but have you guys seen Wolfram's hypergraphs? Yes, I think Wolfram's work is probably the closest to what it really is. I'm not so sure that M Theory at this point applies to anything, to be honest. Bryden, we're not really debating. The conversation here is usually around the simulation theory. Thank you, Miss Butterfly. Appreciate the love. Wait, were you trying to come on before? I think I saw it and then it disappeared, so I'm not sure. Miss Butterfly, were you trying to come on? Thank you for this, for the love and light. And ты так рано заходишь. Kind of, yeah. And wait. Oh yeah, so usually talking about the simulation, I am claiming that I found proof to believe in one. That's usually the nature of the conversation on this channel. Welcome, welcome. I just got off work and my coworker just filled my tank. That's awesome, Sofa King. That's so beautiful. She said that I am a pleasure to have at work and that we would do it for me any she would do it for me anyway. Wow, that's amazing. What an incredible act of kindness. Someone bought my meal at In-N-Out when I was in Oregon last week. Of course, I paid forward. Incredible, Sofa King. Thank you for sharing. That is thought vibes. I agree. We're totally in a simulation. I'm telling you. You should watch some of my videos on the topic. Oh, you have, because you said you haven't chance to build the laser setup yet, but I'm really excited. Amazing. I can't wait to hear about it. And if you want to fill out the report on the website, that would be cool. Cosmo. No one becomes a billionaire by being altruistic. I beg to differ. Absolutely disagree. I think a lot of the altruistic movements are actually just virtue signaling. There's a whole organization by, what's his name? McCaskill. I think McCaskill is the guy. He created this really good organization. Basically, dives deep and investigates what donations in the world actually do the work that they claim to do, and how they aggregate funds and all that stuff. And it's a really good resource because if you ever want to donate money, it would help you to actually donate money to actually something that does. It turns out that the Red Cross is one of the worst. They are basically a money laundering machine, just so you know. A really good one, if I remember checking last time, was the foundation. What was the name of it? It was a foundation to help the one that installs mosquito nets in Africa. That's a really good one to donate. They like basically 100% of their donations goes into doing what they're actually claiming to do. So just an example for you that altruism is a lot of the time just virtue signaling. People just create all kinds of nonprofits to basically get money, and they prey on people's sensibilities. That's the unfortunate nature of that. And then a lot of people that with a lot of influence that people hate are actually doing work that, in the end of the day, helps everybody. So I'm not so sure that it's correct what you said. The fact this blanket statement about size, profit, control, or power automatically mean an evil thing, I think that's a extremely unsophisticated way of viewing the situation. It's true that when you get to a position of power, there's a lot more kind of control you have to exert in order not to kind of succumb to some of the temptations that comes with that. That is true. That is true, absolutely. But I do think that the idea that this meme of power corrupts and ultimate power corrupts ultimately or completely, whatever the meme goes. I think that meme is actually the corrupting factor, not the truth statement that it purports to make. Because then it makes people believe that all the bigger things, all the more powerful things automatically are bad, when in reality, these things are necessary for us to build a civilization of a certain scale. So it's definitely not that simplistic. I agree, but curious if what the goal is and if it has something to do with consciousness. The simulation, absolutely, everything has to do with consciousness. Consciousness is what is evolving through the simulation. Not religion. No, the evolution of consciousness, I would say, is the goal, or I guess if you can call it a goal, but that's essentially what the simulation is for. My general thoughts on consciousness is that it's fundamental. I'm much more of an idealist at this point. I think that consciousness is a fundamental element in the world. I can't spell psilocybin. It's very difficult to spell. I have to admit, especially if you're on it. I think everything is hard to spell when you're on it, but stick. A very common question in this house is, what is he eating? Because you never know. It might be an UG. Get him Cosmo. he gets him. He needs to go through training. We need to snip him first, unfortunately, but he's crazy. He's adorable when he sleeps. But we got to snip him and we got to train him. It's going to happen soon. It is literally every to do with consciousness. I've made it my life goal. Noble goal. Accumulating 1 billion isn't possible for a spiritual and healthy individual. The thing isn't about accumulation. People with a lot of money don't accumulate it. It doesn't sit in some kind of a bank when they go in the end of the day and look at it. It has to do with so there's this thing called liquidity, and then there's a general fortune that somebody amassed in terms of everything they have, right? But usually most of that money is not liquid. So like they can't just take it out of the bank. It's doing something. It's doing work. So the question that I would have for you, for example, is: would you prefer that kind of money would be controlled? Because somebody would eventually. Some people are just good with that, right? And it's not everybody. Not everybody can do it because not everybody are wired this way. And the question is: do you want people who know how to do that to do it, or people who have no idea how to do it to do it? And I would say you want the former. What you want is a civilization that produces individuals that are more often than not have an altruistic streak to them, so that people with power will also be of the kind that have this altruistic bone in their body. So when they amass the fortune that they will, because these talents that they have, they would also have that aim towards actually putting it to good use, whatever they deem as a good use. And obviously you can disagree with that, but this idea that somebody's collecting $1 billion, nobody's sitting with $1 billion in the bank and it just sits in the bank. Like that's just not a real thing, right? There are people that love money. I met these people, but usually they don't have billions. You'll be surprised. The billionaires, I met a few now. Billionaires usually don't have that kind of attitude. They don't think of money in terms of how much I have. They just don't. They think in terms of execution and scale, and obviously whatever it is. And I guess I had the fortune at this point to meet enough people of that kind of caliber that also have an incredible heart. And it's very clear because they're putting a lot of their efforts and their money into actually creating all the communities that you would absolutely be happy about, like conscious communities around the world, putting effort into building an educational system around the need to come to source, come to a collective understanding. All of these things, very wealthy people are working on putting their efforts and their money into that. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but this is happening on a global scale. And there's more of these people than you realize. Usually the people that you think of as the greedy rich guy, they're not billionaires. They are people who just kind of became rich, which usually are actually, in terms of these scales, they're not that far from most of us. People with $5 million, $10 million, these are the people that you think of as these evil rich people. That's not people, they're not even rich in terms of actual richness. They just kind of made a few millions. So they're like, they like to flash it, right? People with billions, like truly people with billions, they understand something entirely different about power. It's the money is just the result of that. So they have a good understanding of how to either organize things or where is the best yield for the amount of effort put in. That's usually how people become that wealthy, because they leverage the fact that 20% of the work in one particular part will give you 80% of the yield, what's called the Pareto law. That is something that these kind of people understand very well. And some people are naturally born with this, or other people kind of amass this understanding through being, under the wing of somebody who's like that. But again, this caricature version of the wealthy evil guy, that's mostly this is in like movies and cartoons. That's not a real thing. It exists, but it's not the majority. By no stretch of the imagination, that's the majority of very wealthy people. Very wealthy people are very often very altruistic. I know it's very maybe difficult to swallow from the position of what you're uttering right now, but that's actually the truth. It's also probably why the universe allowed them to become that way. It also comes with all the kind of like the all the stuff that we're talking about right now. People kind of hate these people because they have a lot, which is, again, that's already on the people that are hating. That has nothing to do with them. Does it exist that you have these people that you're kind of describing even on these higher levels? Sure, of course. These people are everywhere, but the majority of them, I would tell you, they're not like that. And I would say from the most universal perspective, if you want to look at like truly like universally, like forget even about Earth. If we're talking about archetypes, which is just the idea that there's these internal deep columns of energetic imprints, right? Which is how I would maybe define archetypes. So it's like these major energetic columns that express themselves throughout reality. And then conscious beings would be like a combination of some of these columns. These are archetypes, right? So the archetype of the wealthy person is an universal energetic imprint. And I would say the universal energetic imprint of what that is the understanding of control and scale. That's what it is. And then that kind of archetypical thing, when it operates within a person, the person can be, let's just use caricature words for simplicity's sake. It can be a bad person, and then the outcome through that function will be bad. Or there can be a good person, and the outcome through that function will be good. So it's just like with everybody else. It's much more noticeable and pronounced because of the scale involved, and there's more attention on it. So it's much more emphasized. But the truth is that we all have these like checks and balances that we're constantly bouncing around with. And I guess I don't hold it against anybody for having these kind of ideas about that, because I think you do need to meet some of these people to understand that it's true and possible. And I think the same I've noticed now with people who kind of talk all kinds of shit about scientists sometimes, or like CERN or NASA or all that stuff. I don't know if you were being facetious or honest, but I hope you don't actually think that NASA is the most boring organization in the world at this point. It's just government entity, doesn't do anything interesting, to be honest. But scientists are just overall, they're usually very wholesome people. They just want to understand the world. They enter a system that is corrupted by the fact that in order to compete for grants and money to do research, which is really all they want to do, forces them to adopt certain attitudes without which they wouldn't win in this kind of competitive world, which is unfortunate, but that's already the system, right? So I think if you meet a few scientists, you will understand what they are in their essence. If you meet a few very wealthy people, you will understand what they are in their essence, and you will build some kind of a, in the aggregate, you will see that what I'm telling you is true, that most of these people are actually very altruistic, the most altruistic, I would say. They also are the ones that can actually execute on their altruism versus just talking about it. A lot of people talk about altruism, but they have no idea what it actually takes to execute an altruistic function. It's very difficult because you don't only think of, first of all, you have to make a business that can self-sustain. So even in a nonprofit, you still need to build a system in which the business takes money and produces a function, and in the middle of it also exists, and it needs to be self-sustained. So it needs to produce some kind of a good for society that draws more money in, either by donation or by the fact that it, whatever it's doing. And that is a very difficult equation. It's a much more difficult equation than just building a business, because here you need to build a business, and on top of that, you need to think of how to only target the business, to use the business to target only altruistic functions, which is much more difficult because you're sampling from a much smaller uh, possibility. So again, these things, it's funny because in reality, the reality of it is almost the opposite of the perception of the majority of the public. Again, you have examples of this kind of greedy, rich person from things that we interact with in the media, like for example, in the main kind of like biggest caricature that comes out of that world is from the financing world, right? Where it was like, well, these people, they're just moving money around, they don't contribute anything to society, and they just want money, 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 money. And when you see the, videos from, especially in the 80s, and like when before everything went online, and everybody were like screaming with their little ballads and their little notes, and like it just they look like animals, right? I can see how it's very easy to think that, and to a large degree, I would even say that on that level, which is, by the way, it's not, these are not the wealthy people. They're just kind of like the little tiny soldiers that kind of doing this thing. So it's the people that are trying to get rich. So they are definitely answering to that caricature that you're describing of like, I just want more money, I just want more money. But when people get to like these high levels, that $10 billion, $100 billion, the difference is how much power you can exert on something and how much yield you're going to get for it, really. And at that point, I think people also feel very fulfilled. Like all your needs are fulfilled. So unless you are a complete psychopath that just like you just can't, like you don't have the capacity to care, I think at that point it's just so easily to fall into the altruistic function, for both from a very practical function, or like, or I guess you can say, even I would go as far as to say it's from a utilitarian function, because you do get to cut a lot of taxes if you just donate money, right? But it's much more than that. You don't, just like you would feel good if you can help somebody, like Sofa King just now said, somebody filled his tank with gas. It feels good for the other person. Like it feels good to receive that gift, but it also feels incredible to give that gift. If you can, so like, not everybody can do it. Some people are really struggling and they can't even afford to do a gesture like that. Fill out somebody else's tank for $50, $60. It might be a lot for them. But if you're in a position, you don't need to be wealthy to be able to do that, right? But if you're in a position where you can fill out somebody else's tank because you choose to do so and tell them, I would do it any day, it feels amazing. It's almost selfish. Like you feel good about being able to do that. So imagine how much better it even feels if you can do this on a massive scale. If you can help a lot of people, even from the most, like, if you want to be very cynical, from the most selfish position, your tendency would be, oh, I want to feel like I did something positive in the world. It won't make a difference if I have 1 billion or 10 billion. I'm going to do something with this money that will actually do something good for somebody else. So again, I really want to drive this point home. This is why I keep going kind of like in circles around it, because I think it's important. This seeming hate that people have towards the wealthy and ultra wealthy is a misguided one. It's you're mad at the wrong thing. Forget about the fact that you shouldn't be mad at anything. You should just, like, try and get to a place where you're just happy with what we have. But it's just, in this case, it truly is barking at the wrong tree, or up the wrong tree. Somebody corrected me the other day that it's barking up the wrong tree versus barking at the wrong tree. I think it makes more sense to say you're barking at a different tree, because maybe there's a squirrel at that tree and there's no squirrel at wrong squirrel is, there's no squirrel. But if you, I guess you also up the tree. Anyways, you get what I'm trying to say with the squirrels in the trees. I again, Elon's a perfect example. I happen to think Elon is a force for good, and for people that's inconceivable, because they don't know enough about the actual execution of what is going on there. They see the headlines, the stuff that the media throws at you. If you go deeper into these things, you understand what is actually going on, when these things are executed. But it's okay. Whatever your flavor is, it's fine. It's just that doing service to the reality of things versus the virtue signaling of things is a very important thing. And this claim that because what prompted this very long winded rap of mine right now was the fact that I think it was Warm. He said that nobody amasses $1 billion for a spiritual growth. Nobody said that they need to. Also, they're not amassing it. They're not like collecting it and holding it like this. They're putting it to work in a way. Oh, this was my point that I do want to tie back to this whole thing. Knowing how to put money to work in a proper way is a skill. Not everybody knows how to do that. This is why some people have money and some don't. Some got lucky, but a lot of people are just really good with money, right? So if you are moving into a more of a conscious community, into more of a conscious world, then you would want, and again, I'm fully aware that I guess I'm privileged to have met some of these people. So it's easy for me to say, because I see that it's possible. These people are incredible human beings. When you understand that, you see, oh, that's what they're doing with the wealth that they've amassed, right? But they know how to do it. You would want people like that, this kind of archetype, to be able, that you can trust, to be able to take the wealth and distribute it properly, that can actually make a difference in a good way. Others that wouldn't necessarily know how to do that would distribute the money in a not smart way, which also happens a lot. California just got, I forget the number, I should look it up at this point, but it was an enormous number. This is a real thing. California got a crazy budget from the federal government to help with the homeless situation. I don't remember the number now, but the number is astronomical. It's in the billions. The number is in the billions. Within 3 years, the money was gone. And the homeless situation got worse. So what happened here? That was a clear case of people who do not know how to operate with money put in charge of the money, and the greed, and the fact that when there was a congressional hearing about this, and they're like, where's the money? They're like, oh, we were building new systems, putting new systems to work. And they were like, what systems? They're like, well, we were installing like new mainframes. And it's like, the money was to help the homeless people. For the amount of money we gave you, you could have housed all of them. What were you building? No, there was a mistake, we had to correct it. This just shows you that some people are just not, they should not be in charge of wealth and money. So when people are good at that, what you want is to create a society that a lot of these people would have the right frame so they can help aggregate the money properly. Not everybody knows how to do that. So just something to hold in view. Lucy saying, I don't think it's the hate. I think it's the fear and resentment of it have not gotten this out of control. I would agree with that, but then who is it on? Is it on the people who amass the wealth, or is it on us who are exerting the hate? I would say it's on us to stop exerting the hate. It would make a lot of things a lot smoother and a lot easier. Let me go. I know there's probably 1 billion comments at this point across platforms. So let me see if I can address some of them quickly, and then we'll. Fairly new here, but have you done the? I'm gonna bring it to the laser real quick, just because the question is relevant, and this channel is usually around that stuff. Fairly new here, but have you done the experiment in an outside environment? Yes. The code is always the same, it seems, at the moment at least. Dimitri just said disagree. Okay, good. Wonderful. That good talk. Glen Rose saying, I'm trapped in a drunk lump. Sorry to hear that. Donate locally is a very smart move. Dimitri is asking if I ever interacted with Andres. Yeah, Andres is actually one of the first people that I've reached out to. So I've been in contact with Andres from about, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that. Like this slime mold and some scavengers rain type of Mario Bros. Type of I don't know what that means. Sorry. Very good point. I was saying I read somewhere that the majority of people don't truly understand the difference between the large numbers like million, a billion, trillion. Oh, absolutely. It's yeah. No, absolutely. Like there's no the distance between a millionaire and a billionaire. They're truly astronomical. It's a very different mindset. For the most part, unless they're like going out, somewhere, billionaires would dress very, very casually. It's almost a rule that you will never guess they're a billionaire. Never. You would never know. They would never have an expensive watch. I mean, again, and never. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but it's not common. Most billionaires, they dress nice, but they will not like. You would not be able to spot them. Millionaires, you can spot, especially like the newly made millionaires, which is very interesting. Just had some methylene blue, now laying in the sun listening. Nice, Christopher. This is good, Andrews. And just saying, NASA is Hebrew translation to deceive. How many conspiracies did you cram in there? I can't. From that vantage point, I can't help you, Andrews. Sorry, the cheese fell off the cracker, my friend. I can't help. Uh, yeah. No, I'm not even talking about the fact that it's not true. I'm just. I don't know who told you this, but it's just like, how many conspiracy theories can you cram into one sentence? Go. That's why I'm doing a Vipassana retreat, because I have angry energy and I don't want it anymore. That's a beautiful reason to do that. Joanna said, I agree. I love Elon. There you go. So we have some Elon haters and Elon lovers. Wonderful. We're balancing the scales. One thing I want to ask, if still possible, what do you think is going to change reality forever this year, Dango? I think you think that I know more than I do. I know there's something big that's supposed to happen. I have no idea what it is. I think you think that I'm hiding it. I have no idea what it is. I don't think anybody can know. That's exactly the point of it. I think it would have to do with our consciousness. That's my assumption. Just our consciousness will open to a new level for all of us. No, he said, my heart goes out to you. But in the eye of the beholder, I guess. Literally the opposite of what some people saw, which is just insanity. Oh, I went to kind of call most of the comments quickly, so. Chat is not enough to text everything I wanted to say. It deleted it. Well, Dimitri, you can always go on TikTok and I'll bring you on. Like, I'll happily bring you on to chat. Just go on TikTok, Danny Goller, and I'll bring you up. Rich in paradise. Do you think the code will appear as knockdown texture wall, or should I go for a flat surface? Makes no difference. You should see it either way. As long as the surface is not too shiny, power off. If it's too shiny, you're going to get too many photons coming back to you. It will blind you. You won't be able to see it. Also, it'll be a lot more dangerous for your eyes. How many conspiracy theories can one cram into a sentence? Exactly. If you film a laser setup and watch the video while on the molecule, could you see the code visible? Yes. Wonderful question. Okay, so we got to the end of YouTube. We're going to take a few of TikTok, and then we'll have to adjourn for today. Looking forward to the next Zoom. I'll email you soon about my role with the homeless. Oh, Diego, that would be wonderful. Please, please do. The sooner the better, brother. I would love that. Let me also do this so I don't forget. There you go. Yeah, man. I would love. Also, I was really nerding out on your sounds, and we were like translating them and moving them. And Casey like did a whole calculation of it. We're not in a simulation. We are in a creation that God made. And what do you call that? I agree. Curious about balance as well. Lucy's saying, I'm not opposed to wealth. I just don't have illusions about how it's currently achieved within society. I don't have illusions about it either. It's just that what we reward as a society is useful things. It's that simple. And what we deem as useful is what is being rewarded. It's just it's a tautology, right? So that's why I said on the Danny Jones podcast, if you really, really, really think that the types of things that we're tend to complain about, like social media, all that stuff, get off it. Like, I mean it, get off it. Like, just if everybody will get off it, in other words, we will stop deeming it as valuable, then it will not be valuable. And the people who would be doing that because they see that other people want it, they would stop doing that. And then they would go and try to do something else that is valuable. We are telling them what we are deeming valuable. Some people know how to bring it to us. Not everybody knows how to do that. It's difficult. Some people get, it's true. I agree with you that some people get to being rich because they want to be rich. I agree with you. It exists. But it is a tiny percentage of people. The majority of people becoming very wealthy by doing something that is very useful for people. They identify that thing, they go for it. It's very difficult to do. This idea that you just become rich because you do something evil is silly. Like, it's very difficult. It's very hard. It's not easy because there's so much that needs to go into it. Everything has to align in the right way. You have to be tenacious. You have to understand what the problems are. You have to go over enormous amounts of adversity and everybody telling you it's impossible. And also people like us complaining about every single step of whatever we do and we can't win, it seems. So you got to have a thick skin. It's very difficult. So people who do it, yes, it's rewarding to be able to afford whatever you want. But for example, somebody mentioned Elon in particular is a good example of this because Elon is so clearly does not care about money. He does not care about money. Say what you will, he does not care about money. Couldn't care less. That, there's no question about that. And that is exemplified by everything he's ever done over the time that he did it. As I always say, is he the nicest guy? Absolutely not. Most people work for him, get burned out. Like Nico said, that his friend like worked for him and he had to like quit for years. And like all of this is true. Horrible boss to work for. But does he achieve what is useful? Yes. So it's like we're saying, we want you. I think I heard somebody else say this, so I don't want. I know that somebody else said this. This is not mine, but I don't remember who said this. But somebody said it's like we're saying, yes, we want all these things, but we don't want them that way. You don't get to pick. So it's like, it is what it is now, right? And we need these things. We need to be able to be interplanetary. There's no question about that. We need a better use of energy, and to some extent, they're trying to achieve that. Is there a better way to do this with not people like suffering under you as a boss? Yes, 100% true. But it is what this is. How many people are assholes for no reason? For no reason at all. They're just assholes, right? So it's kind of like the fact that this person who for sure doesn't care about money, like if you read anything about like his actual life and how he came about and everything, it's so clear he does not care about a dollar. He understands what it represents in society and how it brings power, sure, but the aim is the functionality of these things. That's what the aim is. And then can he also be kind of like looped into all kinds of weird power cycles because of his personal psychology? And this is not a special thing to him that people like attention. It's just most people like attention, even if they won't admit it. Most people like attention. It's a natural thing. So can all of this be true at the same time? Yes. But who would I trust with so much power and influence than the person who does not that much care about the dollar sign at the end of it? I would trust that guy. And can he also do things because of it on a whim, because he's like angry with somebody and he like does something that is extremely unethical? Yes. Also true. Also true. All of these things can be absolutely true at the same time. We just tend to not want to hold all these opposing ideas about a very complex thing, which is a human with so much power and control. But I would say I'm happy it's him and not somebody who also really cares about the money. Like with Sam Altman, I'm much more careful because clearly he cares about the money. Like it's very clear, right? Elon doesn't care about the money. He likes the power. He likes the fame. That's true. He has a very, very dark streak to him. We can excuse it all day with traumas and whatever, but it's true, and he knows it. Where he can become very vindictive towards people. All of that is true. It's true. But again, the person who would be executing these very, very large functions around things that actually matter, I trust him to not get his head lost in whatever needs to happen in order to make these things happen, because he's proved again and again and again and again that he will put everything on the line to make the thing happen, because the thing is what matters at the end to him. Like I always say, he cares about humanity, not humans. That's a big distinction. And it's exemplified not once, not twice, not 3 times, but like literally 20, 30 times in his career. And some of them were like very, very clear. Like he had no money, everything was failing, SpaceX and Tesla, everything was falling. And he would literally throw up in the middle of the night because he couldn't, like, the amount of pain in his stomach was like becoming like physical on a level where it was just like unbearable. And he would still, and this is reported by his wife, who doesn't necessarily like him that much, but that far is true. Like this is corroborated by a lot of people that around him, not just what he said about himself. And he basically slept every day in the factory. asked for his money, basically asked his brother for a giant loan that he already knew that it might be lost, but he was like, we're going to give it all. And then whatever he got left from PayPal, all the money he got left from PayPal, he put all of it into the company. He didn't have to do that. He could just say, hey, okay, it doesn't work, and just leave it. But no, he put every dime he had in the company when it was failing completely. That's how much he believes in the project. That's who Elon is. He's a very complicated person. So if you don't take that into account, you're not doing reality a service. I think that's important to kind of do. Trying to go through the comments as quickly as I can, guys. The problem is when archetypes are operating out of balance. I would agree with that. Okay, I think we kind of covered it. Trying to go through each and every one, guys, to see if there's something new that I didn't address. Documentary in the end of the year. Okay, I think we covered most of it. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Danny, sorry, I know you want to get off. I just wanted to say one thing.
Sure.
I also think Elon is a very, very important person to have just because he went all in on all the ventures that he went into, right? We don't need to go through them, but he accelerated, electric vehicle technology, space technology, and he even founded OpenAI. The people don't give him credit for that, but he was behind OpenAI. He got them the first, 13. Well, I think it was the first 50 million he got them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have friends that have worked with them, right? Like on a daily level. And like he said, they're very traumatized after. And it was funny because one of my friends is like, I gave everything to this and I got nothing in return. I'm just ruined. And we're sitting in his massive mansion. And I'm just like, well, you have $50 million, and we're sitting in like a $13 million, mansion. But what I will say, one thing that and this is more of a personal preference, is one thing that I think Elon attracts a lot of very, very, very competent people to work for him. And he doesn't give them credit, right?
Sure.
And he takes the credit, right? And one thing, in contrast to this, Kip Thorne, when he has this story when he got the Nobel Prize phone call saying, hey, you want a Nobel Prize? He said, can we give it to the 2,000 LIGO engineers, right? And a Nobel laureate committee said, no, we can't. We can only give it to 3 people, you, Barry Weiss, and some other person, right?
Yeah.
And he challenged them and he said, why? Why can't we give it to the 2,000 engineers that made this, crazy technology? And the Nobel laureate committee said that one of the reasons why, one of the purposes of the Nobel Prize is to inspire the next generation. And inspiration comes when it's behind one person, not 2,000 people, right?
Yeah.
And I'm one, and so The one criticism I have for Elon is I think he could very easily say, I could not have done this without the amazing engineers, behind me, and he chooses not to. And as a
No,
result,
that's not
he
true.
does have this.
No, he does say it sometimes, but it's just that how often do you know how many people work for him? Like at what point do you go like, like it's like the amount of people involved in doing something on that scale, right? So like who brought everybody together? Who has the vision? Who's showing up every single day, actively participating in the engineering and everything else? Like who's doing that? Like I can totally see how we can see that he actually is the executor of this whole thing. And I can offer a lot more criticism than you saying one criticism. No, I can offer a lot of criticism of Elon, like a very severe one. He's in terms of a human, he's a damaged person. He's a very, very he's very traumatized. And I don't know if you know, but this is why I always recommend, even if you hate him, because it's just fascinating on its own right, just knowing that this kind of a person exists. The book by Isaacson. So there's two biographies about Elon. One, the older one, and then one by Isaacson. I recommend the Isaacson one because he's very good at keeping it balanced. And he really ends the book with like this question mark about Elon, right? So he's very fair in terms of describing all the dark side of Elon. And the reason it stands out to me is because I'm not a big reader of biographies. I think I read 5 in my entire life. There was Einstein, Jobs, Elon, Newton. Who was the fifth? I forget. Anyways, Tesla, but there was an autobiography. Okay, but I think maybe one more. But I'm not a big biography, autobiography reader. I don't know why. But some people got me really interested. Elon was one of them. Elon was the only person, the only one that after I read the book, well, I actually read both of them, you know how what happens is that you have these people like Einstein, right? And they're like these legends. They're just these like, oh my God, like how did they do it, right? So after you read their biographies, you go, oh, like it's not amazing. It's still amazing, but you kind of see the moves. You kind of go, oh, I see the human part. Like I get it, right? Elon is the only person. You finish the biography and you go, wait, what? Like how? It's the only person that your perception of like it doesn't deflate. It goes, what? How is that possible? Like the amount of things that he actually did alone by himself before he amassed all these people around him, right? You go, dude, how is that even possible? And the guy who wrote the first biography about him, he said, I followed Elon for 3 years, nonstop, and I still don't understand how he does it. This is the level of genius involved. So for whatever it's worth, all of these like ideas are like, yeah, but it's because of all these smart people. No, bro, it's him. It's him. And I agree with you. One of the criticisms I would agree with you that yes, he can be more humble, but he isn't. So he isn't. And you got to just take it for what it is. And is it, by the way, this very, very dark streak he has, just to make everybody clear that people say, oh, you're like such an Elon fan. I'm like, no, I'm a fan of this ability that is just unbelievable. You have to be a fan of that. But all the stuff, a lot of the stuff that people say about him, like on this like very dark side, all of them are true. Like there's this case where when I read it, I was like, dude, Elon, like I almost want to drop liking everything you're doing because of this. Because one time there was this one, it wasn't like a big, opponent of like a certain scale. It was just a guy who worked for Twitter back then, and he was a really good engineer. If I remember the story correctly, basically Elon got into it with him, and he had to fire him. And then because he was such a good engineer, he's like, well, I would really want you to come. And he was like, wouldn't take no for an answer. He was like, no, like, come on, like you gotta. And the guy's like, no, I can't. Like, I can't. And the guy is also, I think it was relevant to the story. He was gay, living with his partner, and then he was like, I can't. And Elon was like, no, come on. And when he saw that the guy would not budge, he literally doxed him. Like he made sure he knew that that's what he was doing. He like tweeted about him, and literally the guy had to move because he was afraid for his life. That shit, bro, like that does not fly with me. I'm like, so just so everybody understands, I know this about Elon, and that's not fucking okay. That's not okay. That's crazy. Okay, especially because somebody is like that much less has power than you. That's just not okay. This whole thing with Sam Harris, that's crazy, right? But with all of that, if you're looking at like, and again, like he kind of he calls it his demon. Like in the book, if you read the thing, it's a mode that he gets into, and he knows about it. It's his traumatized part, and when he gets into that mode, even Isaacson said like every time I would see that in Elon, I would go, oh, it's the demon mode. And the demon, like he could see these dark clouds come over, and it's not the smiling Elon and the thing, it's like he goes into war. But the way that he found to channel that energy, which is what burns people out, is that when he goes into that state, he achieves things that nobody can. Like literally, they had like a situation where he went into one of his demon modes, and they had to complete an assembly line. I think if I remember the numbers correctly, they were at about 1,200 cars, body Teslas per month or per day. I don't remember. Per month or per day. I don't remember. Per something. And they had to get within 3 weeks or 2 weeks even to 3,000 per same unit time. And everybody are like, well, I guess Tesla is done. Elon showed up in his demon mode and he's like, let's go. And everybody like, what? And people were short. Just, this is a real story. Just so you understand. This is not like some, and people, he obviously didn't sleep. Sometimes he goes without sleeping for like a week and a half when he gets into these. It's like this crazy manic state. And the people who were wanting to bet against Tesla in stock would literally have drones above the factory trying to gauge whether they're getting close to the thing to see how many materials coming in, so to know if they can short the stock.
Oh, wow.
And he knew that, and he's like, so he's in war with them. He's like, I'll show you. And he like literally, he made it happen, bro. Like he made it happen.
Well,
Bill
Gates has a famous short against Tesla, right? And Elon could easily actually ruin Bill Gates's wealth just by being successful.
But he could never understand. But here's an example where Bill Gates is like, absolutely, like they had this meeting and Elon said, I think he's crazy. Like he said, I don't understand how Gates does not understand that the fact that he has a short on my company, like the fact that he put his money as betting against my thing, and he doesn't understand how that's not okay if you believe in the company, because Bill Gates offered him to work on like philanthropy, and Elon, when he showed up, he's like, wait, are you still shortening my the Tesla stock? He's like, well, yeah, I still have the investment. He's like, all right, bye. Like he just ghosted him. He's like, how do you not understand that if you believe in the company, you can't be also at the same time putting your money into it failing, right? And so, but just to close on that story with the making into 3,000 units, it was literally impossible in the heads of every single smartest engineer who worked for him, right? The only factor that made it possible is Elon, and not just Elon, dark Elon. It was that dark side. It was that demon mode that made it possible, without which it would not be possible. So that kind of stuff. After that, usually after he goes into his demon mode, there's a good percentage, I don't remember the numbers, but there's a good percentage of the company that quits because they just they can't, they just tapped out. They're literally traumatized because he moved this trauma from his childhood, if you want to get like psychoanalytic, into everybody in the company, right? So now everybody are like, I can't do this anymore.
Unfortunately, that's the price you have to pay when you want to do something big, right? Like Steve Jobs is also very similar. Like he had a demon mode as well. He would fire people left and right, zero empathy. But that's what you need to be relentless. Like
relentless and not caring about humans. But now my question to you is this: is it fair now that we have that in view? And if Elon is very pragmatic and he knows what actually causes what, so he's like, he knows that the reason that it was possible, it was just his demon mode and nothing else. I mean, yeah, there was the operation, but without that, it would just not be possible. You could replace a lot of things, but not that. And that's the thing that made it happen. So now the question is, how much credit do the people working on these problems actually deserve in terms of that? Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I mean, it's both. I mean, look, he gets a ton of credit. No one, like, it's unheard of for some. I mean, people compare is it Kelly Johnson? People are like, oh, he's a modern day Kelly Johnson. I don't even think Kelly Johnson was on this level, right?
I don't think anybody was ever on his level, like truly. Yeah. Like I don't think, like, in terms of like a capability, I don't think anybody like this existed before. This is just not a
like I know right now because of the stories that I've heard, I know that being the richest guy in the world, he's not sleeping. He's sleeping on a couch right now
Yeah.
and like doing whatever he's doing. Like this guy's
He could
psychotic.
not care less.
He doesn't care about money. Like
They could not care less about the money. When he got the first big money from, well, this is a known story, right? From PayPal, he got $240 million about liquid, like he could just, it's his, and he was 26, maybe 27. What does any 27-year-old does with $240 million? Oh, let me relax for a couple of years. Let me go to an island. But immediately he went into trying to make rockets happen. It's just like, he put like half of his money into it, and he knew that it's probably never going to see it again. So it's like, that's who he is. But yeah, like that stuff with the story that I just told with the guy that he doxed, dude, that's not okay. And I'm being like very, like I'm dialing down what I really want to say about him there. That's not okay on every single level. That is evil. That is evil.
My friend is
that's evil.
My friend's wife left him, right? And so like that's pretty fucked up if you're gonna fire your chief financial officer because he got divorced and he was late or has been missing work.
Absolutely. I agree. I could not agree more. He had the guy tell him to come to work immediately because he was in his demon mode. He does not care. He's like, you come to work immediately. He was literally in the delivery room with his wife. They were having a child. And he told it to Elon before. And he called him as if he never told him that. He's like, you be here right now or you don't work here anymore. One of the most, I think, egregious moments of Elon's career, which was like, I think the thing that for me kind of like puts it on the probably the highest accolade of like, that's not okay. His what was the name of the Gladwell, the president of SpaceX for a long time, the woman, I think it is.
I don't know her name.
Yeah. But she was like basically his right hand person. She's probably one of the smartest people in the company, maybe aside from Elon. Just unbelievably capable person. Worked with him for I don't remember a long time, like maybe a decade or 2 decades. Okay, a long time. And she was he trusted her with everything. She was the only other person in the company that had the permission from Elon to make a deal and close the deal without his permission. Like that's how high she was in terms of like how much he trusted her. There was a moment where, and this is not mentioned in the Isaacson book, and I think on purpose, but it is mentioned in the older book. And basically, she got sick. It was either that she was sick or she was pregnant. I think she was sick. And she was like sick like a dog, couldn't come to work. What happened, and this is also kind of shows you also kind of like who Elon is. So I just told you what position she was occupying in the company, right? So imagine the amount of responsibility she has. Probably the only other person in the company that has as much responsibility as Elon, just in a different place. She was dealing with the deals. He was doing with engineering and all that stuff, right? And bringing engineers and all that stuff, operational. When she was sick, he asked her to come to work, if I remember correctly. She's like, I literally can't, like, Elon, you know me. Like, if I could, I would. I literally cannot, right? Mm-hmm. And I honestly don't remember if it was because she was pregnant or sick. Everybody can look it up. But this really happened. He managed to teach himself her job in 2 days. And he just took over her job. And he did it in addition to everything else that he's doing. In 2 days, I'm like, I'm on it. And he managed how to do it. And because of that, when she came back, she had no more position.
Yeah.
That's who he is. Is that okay? Absolutely not. The amount of effort, even if you could do it, who cares? Like the amount of, like, she gave you your heart to the company, right? So yeah, so to anybody who thinks that like I'm not aware,
he did that to people that went on vacation too.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we survived without you. Like,
yeah,
you're done.
I'm aware of all of this, and still I'm telling you that in the greater scale of things, because we have to become interplanetary, and we almost didn't. It's almost like the universe went, okay, we need to send one dude to like, it's almost like he took the planet on his back and is like, let's go. It's like,
so that demon mode, I think, is his what if you want to call it autism or whatever it is.
No, right? I think it's the trauma. I think it's the trauma. His dad really traumatized him.
Yeah, I imagine, but whatever it is, it's like yes, that is a trauma that, I mean, like I've seen a lot of stuff where like people are saying that there's a perfect amount of trauma for someone to become extremely successful, right? And Elon definitely has that, and I think he even has some screws or some wires that are unique to him. But I agree, and the reality is if you're a part of that mission, you're gonna experience the dark side of that. You're gonna experience the side effects of demon mode, right? And but yeah, the greater good. When you zoom out, it's like we need this. Yeah, this is the right thing, right?
Couldn't we have a Buddha that also has Elon's capabilities? Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful? But
Yeah,
everything has a price, right?
yeah.
It's just what it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, thank you so much, Danny. It was I love this conversation, but yeah, I'll let you go.
Thank you, brother. You were always an absolute pleasure. And yeah, we should catch up soon. There's quite a few interesting things happening. I think Carter filled you in, but yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about.
Awesome, man. I'm excited.
All
see
right.
ya.
Have a good night, brother.
too.
All right, everybody. So I'm gonna bring it to. I will adjourn for today, just because it's getting a little late. I appreciate you all. If you want to follow me across platforms, it would be Danny Goller on TikTok and on Instagram. It would be Goller Danny on X. It would be LaserX83 on Twitch, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. You can also follow the link tree in the description on TikTok if you want to see some of these things just directly. On YouTube, we also have my membership program that includes Zoom calls with me, weekly lives, aside from the daily lives that are for members only, early access to all the videos I'm releasing, and a bunch of stuff from my personal life that is going to start be posting. I promised to post one today. I think I might still post it. I'm just kind of like deciding which one I want to post. And a lot of stuff from my personal life with some quips, some ideas, Dango Thoughts, after all, that's only going to live on my members live. On my YouTube members. I appreciate everybody who already became a member. I appreciate all the people that are showing up here every day or every other day and making this community what it is. I really, really appreciate you. I'm happy that we can have these conversations, even very riled at once, and still agree in the end of the day that it's okay to disagree about certain things. We do want to lead with love and understanding and knowledge. These are the main values that I'm trying to resexify. Let's call it that. And thank you so much for very special people who came and donated their time and hard-won money to help this project grow. People like Carter and people like Irv, who's building the lasers and building all the pipeline. And Carter was helping me to build an entire ecosystem behind this project on an enormous scale. Nico, people who, on Discord like Ebony and Azamoon and Lovey Whittles, and Daniel, who's showing up and giving us a lot of very wise quips, and Ambient Glass, who always have very fun things to say, Dimitri, who disagrees with me in fun ways. I appreciate you, brother. Who else? Mikhail, thank you so much for the music. Well, Eric is just Eric at this point is like family. I appreciate you, my brother. You guys should check out his channel. I Make the Name of the Molecule on YouTube, and also you can find him as Eric Peterson with an E at the end. Sen on Facebook. Wonderful channels. Who else am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting something. I'm for sure forgetting something. Oh, Ben and Chris. How can I forget you? Devin, how are you, brother? Okay, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you all. Love you all. See you tomorrow. We're still working on a movie. If you want to donate to the film, you can go to our GoFundMe page by watching the trailer on Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts on YouTube, and check out the description. There's the GoFundMe page there. Did I forget anything? No, I think we're good. See you tomorrow. Peace and love. Ciao. See you guys. Have a good night.